The heroes of Adventure is Nigh are courageous, mighty, and cuddly? Well, now they can be. Mortimer, Dabarella, Grinderbin, and Sigmar Iceblood are available in plushie form, each with their own adventuring accessory. Display them, hug them, or have them perform in your very own Adventure is Nigh fan fiction. We don't need to talk to every NPC. Yeah, instead, let's make a quick and decisive plan. Get your Adventure is Nigh plushie now at sharkrobot.com or click on the link in the description. And for a limited time, you can buy all 4 at a reduced cost. I'll try the path the Dungeon Master intended me to. Oh blimey, this time I won't use deception.
Are we? Hello? Are we alive? I can't see myself in the little thumbnail thing. Oh, there I am. Thank you, Eric. Hello. Welcome to the Windbreakers podcast, ever professional Windbreakers podcast. I'm Yahtzee. I'm joined by Jay and Marty.
Beep boop.
Hey up.
And this week, in the aftermath of the runaway success of Clair Obscure Expedition 33, success presumably not down to the snappiness of its title, we discuss what exactly is the AA industry and is it still... Oh, there's no audio. Circuit Breaker says there's no audio. Can you hear us? Yes, there is.
Okay. No, they can hear
it. Damn it.
We did it.
Damn it. Okay. What? Jesus.
Don't look at the comments, Yahtzee. Don't pay attention to the comments. What have you done? Circuit broke you. Circuit broke you.
Circuit Breaker.
It's not looking at the comments that makes you turn into someone like Tom Cruise. Anyway,
I think that.
So what is AA, Marty?
I said beforehand, to me, AA games are like pornography. I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. I feel like a AA game is something in my gut. You're not an indie game, but you're not a AAA game. You're a AA game. And I don't know if that's budget. I don't know if that's the size of the studio, but it's just a feeling I get.
It's just something that's in between. But does that mean a AAA style game that's slumming it a bit, or an indie style game that pretends to be a AAA game? In my view, if you want examples of AA games, Clair Obscur, obviously, looks like authentically like it could have come from a AAA studio, but the team's only got like 30 guys in it, right?
They have 30 people at the studio. However, the credits are almost double that with contractors and support studios and stuff like that. So that's also another.
Yeah. But something I would argue definitely is AA would be something like Prince of Persia Lost Crown. And I think of it as AA because it started out from a place of AAA, that is to say Ubisoft, but it's clearly reduced in scope. As in, they hacked an A off the end.
I don't know how I feel about that. How do you feel, Jay?
I dig that. I feel like in a lot of ways, you can either... I don't want to use the word downgrade from AAA down to AA, and you can upgrade from indie into AA. I do think Prince of Persia can be considered that it has the backing of a major publisher, and it was made with people from those teams, but it had a vastly smaller budget with a vastly smaller team. So I think that's what quantifies it, because for me, an indie to move up into a AA, it has to do with two things working simultaneously. That's like team size and money, right? Like if you have an indie team of 30 people, but you're self-publishing, you're an indie, right? But if you're a team of 30 people, but have the backing of Xbox, you're now AA, right? So I would consider Prince of Persia Lost Crown AA.
Right. So is it literally just budgetary?
And team size. I think it's a combo.
I think it's a je ne sais quoi, to quote.
Je ne sais quoi?
for to align with our French allies who created Clair Obscur.
Oh, we're all French today.
We're all it's French all the way down. No, I think it is something in the scope and the execution of a game to where it feels like they are shooting for something kind of bigger and more bombastic than an indie game does, but without the same kind of pomp and spectacle of a AAA game. And that doesn't mean a game has to, all 2D games are indie and all 3D games are AAA. That's not true, because like at a glance, Clair Obscur, if you just see some gameplay, looks AAA. At a glance, you're like, look at these crowds, look at these particle effects, look at they got Andy Serkis, they got Charlie Cox, they got real actors. Like, this has got to be AAA. But then you play the game and you're like, oh, I see the concessions that were made to narrow the scope of this experience in a good way, to narrow the scope of the experience that I feel like a lot of AA games harken back to an era of games we used to have. When I listed a bunch of recent AA games, the ones that came to mind were games that play, and feel like games we don't really get that often anymore.
Well, the one thing, Clair Obscur isn't actually that big or long. Its world is surprisingly pokey. There's a lot of padding around the outside of the map. And timescale wise, it's only like a 15-hour job going by the YouTube long play video.
That's if you ignore all the mimes. You gotta fight the mimes. Every time you fight a mime, you gotta fight them.
Gotta get that armpit cosmetic, dude.
Honestly, I didn't feel much incentive to grind up my stats when really the smart way to play is just to learn how to parry and dodge everything, so you don't take any damage whatsoever. I will say that I do think it's important that AA be a thing that exists, because when we talk about AA, we're talking about middle class, a point that exists somewhere between indie and AAA. And much in the way that the middle class is important to exist in society in general, because it offers the perception that there is a path from the low class to the top class. You can't just tell people, we're rich and you're not, and you will never be us, so suck it, because that's how you get peasant revolts.
But I don't think
there has to be a route, and that's what the middle class is.
I vehemently disagree with that in terms of game development. I don't think AA is an indie studio with aspirations of AAA, because something like Clair Obscur was formed by a handful of leads from Ubisoft Montpellier, who were sick of working in the AAA space. And so this wasn't an aspiration to, this is the zenith of creativity. It was, we want to go down to more of the indie spirit to be able to make a thing that has our thumbprint on it and that has an identity that kind of gets lost in the shuffle of 300-person teams with 15 worldwide studios and all the edges being sanded off.
Yes. But the reason why they needed to drop down a bit was to reduce cost. Yes?
I mean,
we can't. Every game can't be a AAA game because making AAA games costs too much. Yes,
they cost too much, but also the majority of them lack kind of the individual creativity that comes from a game made by a smaller team.
Character.
True. I mean, if you aspire to be like a person in complete creative control of a AAA game, there's like 10 people in the world who could claim to be in that position.
Yeah, 9 of them are Kojima.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I look at
the AAA game still inspires people. The AAA industry still inspires people to want to be game devs. They say, I see these games I like. I want to make games like that. But the prospect of actually working on a AAA game is more and more out of reach of people who are just on the ground level.
Well, and the AAA formula feels kind of broken, right? Like without knowing the data, Clair Obscur seems like a massive success. It sold, I think, 1 million copies in 3 days. It seems to be a really big Game Pass hit. It has huge critical reception, user scores,
even
and everything.
with the Oblivion kerfuffle.
Even with Oblivion releasing at the same time, but it feels like
For me, I was a lot keener to play Clair Obscur than I was to play the Oblivion remaster.
Well, sure, you just don't. I mean, I don't blame you for that. Like, you've already played Oblivion.
Well, even so, I think Clair Obscur has a lot of intrigue about it. I mean, what's with the big, scary, giant lady in the distance painting numbers on a mountain? What's that all about?
I agree. I think, again, without getting into spoilers or too much into Clair Obscur specifically, because I know you're going to be talking about it, and I'm fully Ramblomatic in the near future. It has an incredible opening 30 minutes that is like some of the best table setting, and then call to adventure and stakes.
Gave me shivers, dude.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking depressing. This game just chomps at the bit to kill characters off.
Love a depressing game.
You can't stop it.
Give me that.
The main character hasn't even undid his seatbelt before people start dying.
Hell yeah. But yeah, so you look at other things like I don't think you can be AA with association with AAA, right? I would say Hazelight still feels like a AA to me. The creators of Split Fiction and It Takes Two. They are associated with EA. Their games are published by EA, but it still feels it feels like they have that spirit. It almost is like the spirit of indie at what seems like a AAA budget and production level.
Well, of course, Hazelight has always published under the EA Original label, which is all in ill but name EA's AA division.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to think about. Like, we've been talking a lot about a lot of AAA devs coming down to make the thing they've always wanted to make, and doing it with a little bit of some indie spice. But I also think it's interesting to think about what happens to indies when they are successful and they make sequels, because we always tend to just label, like, okay, Team Cherry or the Substar Studios with The Messenger moving into Sea of Stars, we keep calling them indie. At what point do you then start calling them AA? Can you think of any indies that have graduated to AA? Because I think their budget and their team size would have scaled up to a AA scale, but we don't then call them that.
You could argue that like a Supergiant, I think.
Yeah,
Supergiant. I'd say they're double. Now. They're double now for sure.
Yeah.
Who are the guys who made Risk of Rain?
The Rain Riskers.
They don't exist anymore because
never mind,
Valve stole them because the publisher was doing some shenanigans. I'll put it
They keep doing that. Valve are like the fucking island. It's like, we will take you away to this wonderful place where you will have fun forever, and then no one's ever heard from again.
Yeah. But at least they die happy. All game devs go to Steam heaven.
Yes, Valve is like the stag farm for retired racehorses.
Yeah,
I think Moon Studios is also another one. The Ori devs moving into what was it? No Rest for the Wicked.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're if you're an indie dev who's making a big game in early access, you'll AA. Get fucked.
What about...
You were talking about V Rising before. What would you consider V Rising?
I think, their team size, according to the web, so this could be wrong, is about 40 people currently, and they made like 200 million or something crazy. Oh no, 121. According to Video Game Insights, they made 121 million off of V Rising on Steam alone. So they have the budget and the scale to be doing some AA things, and I think they are.
Okay, how about Bloober Team? Do you think Bloober Team went from indie to AA and possibly even AAA now?
Bloober, that's interesting. Bloober feels, again, if I'm going purely based on vibes, which I'm sure there's going to be several people angry at me saying there are definitive lines in the sand for this thing. Bloober feels like a AA team to me, and not pejoratively. I really liked Silent Hill 2. That being said, it does feel like Silent Hill 2 marked a pretty big step up from what came beforehand, and their next game looks big AAA. And I've seen several people in the chat talk about Larian. Larian is literally independent in terms of they are not owned by anyone. They're also almost 500 people. So like, if we're going based on vibes, 500 people does not make an indie studio, right? 500.
I think things have kind of. I think the low barrier to entry for game creation, thanks to platforms like Steam, has sort of blurred the lines a little bit. In the olden days, you'd have your AAA, which would be, like Deus Ex, Gears of War, shit like that. Then you'd have like lower level stuff that would be like stuff that still had like publisher backing. They're made by like contracted studios. And indie, like before Steam was a thing, would be, you know, shit that was downloaded for free offline, like Cave Story.
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
the super indie stuff, like the stuff that went up on Newgrounds, or just like random abandonware websites.
But again, that was
But
stuff.
the fact that, but Steam has ensured that indie game with a strong enough stuff behind it, like something like Balatro, for example, can become a runaway success. And it also makes you wonder if there's much point in pursuing like AA sort of style or budgets if you can make a massive profit making indie style games.
This is why I think you see a lot of AAA devs trickle down into AA space, because they don't have the creative freedom within the. They have the skill set, right, and the pedigree to be able to make these things, but they don't have the permission from the AAA publishers to be like, yeah, go make Clair Obscur, right? Like, go spend the 5 years making what might be a risky JRPG, right? Accented J. But that's why they trickle down and they ask for other publishers and they form smaller teams so then they can have that scope, right?
Yeah. I also think these are games that a lot of these AA games that stand out are the ones that feel like they are harkening back to like a bygone era. Not that turn-based RPGs don't exist anymore, because like the Persona team is proving that wrong on a daily basis, and Like a Dragon's moved to that direction. But the game everyone is comparing Clair Obscur to is Final Fantasy X. We had recent things like the RoboCop game or Slitterhead or Wanted Dead, all of those being compared to like, this feels like a 360 or PS3 era game. What was that one? Evil West, that game.
Yes,
you
yes.
played. These are games that
very much stating that felt like a sort of Xbox 360 era game.
Yeah, it feels like games that developers make who want to make games from an era that like AAA's moved beyond. Like AAA's moved beyond because of those massive fucking budgets. It's like, well, I miss what those games were like in the 2000s or in the early teens, and I kind of want to make that. And that's where it feels like the AA space kind of makes its gravy. Makes its gravy. That can't be.
See, I'm feeling like a consciousness shift, because I went into this assuming, as I said, that it's like the middle class thing where the AA acts as like the stepping stone. But now we're talking about it, it really does feel like AA is like the step back to find a more fulfilling life. Like when the Calvin and Hobbes creator like just stopped because he wanted to retire and paint for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I view it.
Yeah, I don't even see it, as it's not someone trying to change classes. It's someone being like, well, I don't want to exist in either of these. So it is like a nice liminal space out of time and out of trends that you can go and make a game. And then there's a confusing thing is...
We want the best of both worlds. We want we want to be creative fulfilled, but we want to, make something that's not just an indie game.
Yeah.
We want to make use of tech, realize our grand visions, but while still maintaining creative control. That's what the space is.
Yeah. Not diving too deep into like what people do with the money, but I view it as like the reach for scale. Like indies by necessity have to have smaller scope because they're small amounts of people are working on them and they have limited amounts of time and money. Then when you get into double, you're reaching a little bit higher, the scale, you can get a little bit more. As Marty was saying, you can see where the concessions were made with Clair Obscur and stuff like that, because they don't have AAA budgets. And AAA have the money to do whatever the fuck they want, but most of the time they're not doing it. And why I say that is because in chat, people were talking about Larian, saying that, they're triple indie. And it's like, they're AAA. They have the money and the scope to do whatever the fuck they want. And Larian are just, I think, the only example of a AAA team who use the money and scale well. Like, this is where you should be putting the money. That's why it blew everyone away, because they were spending their money and time correctly rather than just like another Assassin's Creed game,
I think possibly we need to treat the label AAA, AA as such the way it's treated in like financial markets. It literally just refers to how much money this thing needs to make its money back, and nothing else.
Yeah, that would be if there were like clear-cut lines of delineation, but they also don't tell us those things. Like, the developers and publishers remain relatively opaque when it comes to some of those, and also some of that comes from us not knowing. So in the last year or two, we had games like Liza P, Black Myth Wukong, and Stellar Blade come out of Southeast Asia, and they were those games when I first saw them, they felt AA to me, because I was like, okay, you're not from one of those known quantities in the AAA space, but clearly the proof is in the visuals. You aren't like a little indie game, so there's something in the middle there. But then you look at like the teams that made those, and I think the Game Science who made Black Myth Wukong is 100 plus people. Shift Up, who made Stellar Blade, is 300 plus people. Again, not just working on Stellar Blade, but the company. NeoWiz, who made Liza P, is well over 1,000 people. Granted, they have tendrils in a bunch of shit we don't know about, but there's sort of an opaque nature to the rise of Southeast Asian gaming that we just don't know about, myself included, that is kind of ignorant of what's going on over there. So it feels like there's also like gradients even inside of AA, which makes things all the more confusing.
Yeah, it's God.
God, 1,000 people, Jesus Christ, just picture it. Making
It's like the
Talk like about the committee design.
Yeah.
Ugh. So when you think about stuff like I mentioned it in my last video with, is the Dave the Diver team considered indie? Right, that was a huge debate when the game came out.
Yeah, because it looks that game on paper looks indie, right?
Well, now we're back to indie. Just looks like 2D retro games argument.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like a. I don't know. It's
I think it kind of advertised itself as such in a way, like the same for like Clair Obscur in a way is like, oh, look, this came from a team of 30 people, but as you said, Marty, when you look at the credits, it not strictly had the money to be able to outsource to a bunch of different companies and stuff like that. So a lot of other people worked on it, but they're like,
yeah,
no, it was only 30. Was it really? So
yeah. It's also interesting, that kind of ties into what Yahtzee said earlier about Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, about can a AAA studio make a AA game? And when you first said that, my thought was no. But then I was like, well, no, I don't think that's true, because I would say something like even earlier at Ubisoft, they did Child of Light and Valiant Hearts, and that very much felt like those even felt indie. Like that felt like a small team making an indie game. But then you have, at Microsoft, you had something like Hi-Fi Rush, or inside of Obsidian, you had Pentiment, which those don't feel nearly as big and bombastic as your Starfields or your Halos or anything, but they have the backing of one of the biggest companies on Earth behind them.
Yeah.
Yes. So again, I guess it just comes down to how much money is spent on the project, whether it gets the label. Well, glad we figured that out.
Do you is this like an area? It's weird. For a while, I had kind of a reaction to AA, and that's something that was on me. I like my games where all of the money is on the screen and it feels like a big dumb summer blockbuster, or I like this is one person fucking cutting themselves open and giving you their soul in their game, and never the twain shall meet. But the more I've been talking about some of these games, and especially the fact that they are harkening back to an era of games I really like that they're not really making anymore, is something that I do appreciate. Your Slitterheads, your Wanted Deads, your Clair Obscures, Eternal Strands from earlier this year. They feel like they got a little more sauce to them than a standard AAA game does nowadays, which I appreciate.
Yeah,
I think it's so. Is this less a matter of the rise of AA and more a matter of the fall of AAA?
I think so.
Like, hey, everyone hates making AAA games now because they're full of crunch and nobody likes them in the end because they're just grindathon like dishwater. So everyone's gravitating back down. I mean, it's like almost like a voluntary version of what used to happen every time a big studio got shut down. It would get split up into a million little indies that would then go on to make their all revolutionary new ideas. That's what happened in Brisbane when all the big studios left there. And that's why we got studios like Halfbrick that created Fruit Ninja, one of the most successful mobile games of all time.
Oh, did that come from like Brisbane, like the Brisbane AAA scene?
I think so. There was a fairly big AAA scene for a while. There was like Pandemic was there, THQ was there, Chrome was there.
Yeah.
But then one by one they all got shut down, and then there was like a big old indie gaming renaissance in the Brisbane industry. We used to have meetups. It was fun.
What's their name? Who made LA Noire? Bondi?
Team Bondi.
Yeah. Was that Australian?
Well, the
Sydney.
name would suggest as much.
Dundum. Remember LA Noire? Not a Dundum.
Yeah. I keep bringing
about
it
it
up.
last week.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was 7 days ago.
Who could believe it? Yeah. Classic Team Bondi.
You know, if it is just that everyone's sick of AAA and the creators are all like scaling back to make the things they want to make, no bad thing, say I.
Yeah. I think that nothing but good can come from that. Like,
And the sheer positive reception Clair Obscure's got shows to me that the audience is very much on the same wavelength. Like, hey, we're all sick of AAA too. Let's all have a party and play your weird French game.
Yeah. Do you think lessons will be learned?
No. Well, I mean, lest we forget that we must all laugh at an industry that never learns anything. Tee hee hee.
Wise words.
That, but I have. It was with Concord, like shortly after Concord came out. I will not name names, but I had someone from Sony contact me and talk to me about things to confirm the suspicions I had with Concord that they were correct, and also to blatantly say we're doing it again, like we're doing another thing like this, and it's currently in development, and the executives haven't learned anything, and if anything, are pouring more money into it. It's like, what is happening?
Please help us. We are doing this with a gun to our heads.
Listen, if you find yourself at the bottom of a hole, I think you just keep digging. You'll find a way out eventually. Easiest way out of the hole.
I believe this used to be called throwing good money after bad.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 gamblers stop before they hit it big, you know?
Yeah, it's that little meme of the guy mining, and it's like he's this close away from the diamond.
If we just keep pouring money in, eventually things are going to turn around, right? That's how it works. That's how it has always worked.
Right.
Shall we get a super chance?
Let's go to super. I think we solved the conundrum.
Yeah.
So if any AA games that are good come out, you can thank us for helping bolster the AA.
You're welcome. You're welcome, industry. Raven gives $5 and says, week 2 of having nothing to ask and nothing to contribute to the conversation. Don't sell yourself short, Raven. Why don't you tell us about your favorite AA game?
Tell us about your favorite Raven in games.
Oh,
Raven Software?
The one from Gravity Rush.
Oh, that's a good bird. That's a real good bird. I had a bunch of crows. I started playing Until Dawn on my stream, and I kept saying I was afraid of crows, and now crows are everywhere in that game. I shouldn't have told Peter Stormare that I was afraid of crows. I fucked up.
That game famously it changes based on what you're scared of. So.
Yeah, pretty easy to game that. I'm really scared of hot ladies with big tits.
It just terrifies them. I would hate to be surrounded by them.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Faz gives £4.99. Says, really glad to see the AA industry slowly coming back somewhat, even if my wallet is not.
You're supporting devs. Let's go.
Yeah.
So,
Alex Armstrong?
One thing we didn't talk about is what AA used to be. Like.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's almost hard because I knew less about game budgets at the time, but like again, there were those games.
Well, it was like back in the day. It was harder to draw a distinction, especially like the PS2 era, when everything was shoulder to shoulder on the same shelf.
Yeah,
sure.
The low level budgets to the AAA stuff.
Yeah, was Never Dead AA? That feels like a AA game. Remember Never Dead?
I think. Well, that was Rebellion, who are, I would say, pretty much a double A developer across the board.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Alex Armstrong gives $5. It says, Googled double A definition. Turns out the games are in the current state of a basaltic lava forming very rough, jagged masses with a light, frothy texture.
You might have looked up the wrong double A definition, if I'm being honest.
So, as a piece of advice, don't Google anything anymore because the AI overview is just fucked.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as single A? I mean, double A implies the existence of single A.
Is single A indie?
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think it'd go indie, then single A, then double A, then triple A.
So I'm looking at, okay, I'm just going to pick up a handful of games I have near me. Okay. One of them was, there was a Duck Dynasty game for the 360 and the PS3, made by Activision, but I don't know who it was actually made by. That's double A, right? That didn't have the.
I wouldn't put that alongside Clair Obscur. If anything's single A, it's probably that.
Now, what about 3D Dot Game Heroes by Atlas and FromSoft?
Yeah, I think I have famous
names, but it felt like a small little guy. So maybe that's again.
That's double, right? That's triple A money and talent trickling down to make something a little bit more creative and experimental.
I think so. Yeah, I like it.
Well, let's not get bogged down with semantics. Rhett R gives $10 and says, okay, so you'll do parties. How much would I have to pay to get Marty out for karaoke night? Well, subscribe to the Patreon on like a high tier and let us know that was the reason, and I'm sure we'll arrange something.
I'll sing. I fucking go out. I'm me a brew dog. I'll sing my heart out.
Yeah, I'll sing. I'll do 3 non-blondes anytime.
I pray.
Dr. Theo gives $5 and says, we should create an indie game that's an Earthbound-inspired roguelike deck builder with PS1 visuals, horror, base building, and creature collecting. Now, that would be patient zero current indie games.
The problem is there were half of those where I was like, hell yeah. And then you said roguelike deck builder and base building. I was like, no, get those the fuck out of here.
That game would start World War III. Let's stay clear of that.
Box D gives $5 and says, a lot of AA games are made in countries that have AA economies compared to the G7. Czechia, Poland, places that don't cost AAA money to hire devs. I suppose there's sort of like a obvious causal relationship between AA from an economic perspective and AA from a video games perspective.
Sure. Yeah, but just because you're a Polish, by no means a CD Projekt Red, not a AAA studio. They started out as very much as AA, I would say, like The Witcher 1 was that very much felt like that kind of.
Yeah, that started as independent, if anything, and then has moved into AAA. I think the same for the Kingdom Come guys. Like they've graduated to AAA in my opinion.
I don't know. I wouldn't say Kingdom Come's at Witcher 3 level in terms of A rankings.
Ooh, Kingdom Come feels AAA-ish.
I don't know. Only if you say the Elder Scrolls games are AAA. But personally, I think they're a bit janky on the level. I mean, obviously, budget-wise, they are.
That's just because Bethesda are bad. At making games. Like the actual act of making games, they are fucking garbage at doing that. They're good at creating worlds, but they have AAA money, they just don't spend it very well. Fuck you, Bethesda.
Well, Doom 2016 is a Bethesda game.
Hell yeah. I'm excited. What's going on with this new Doom? I feel like people are turning against this new Doom, and I don't like it because I'm excited.
I fucking called that, did I not? I said I feel like this is where people are going to turn against the Doom 2016 formula.
I don't like it. And I'm worried people are going to turn against Pedro Pascal as well. He's not in the new Doom, but I just feel like he's too around.
I agree with you. I agree.
You think he's due a backlash?
I posted. Oh yeah, he's in too much stuff. I love him.
He doesn't have to worry about being The Last of Us anymore, so he's fine.
It was the same with Chris Pratt. Like everyone loved him in Guardians, and then he was in too much, and everyone's turned on him.
That's what happens. That's why you got to be careful to measure yourself out appropriately.
I posted about the Doom game in our staff Slack channel and being like, is anyone else numb? Because I've watched a bunch of the trailers for Doom what is it called, Medieval Punch.
Well, when the trailer first came out, I remember saying in like my roundup of trailers like a year or so back, I was saying, did anyone else look at the gun that shoots the skulls of your enemies and just go, "Oh, come the fuck on"? Because that was my first response.
I did one thing in that sentence. Come, because it was very exciting that I ejaculated. The skull gun is so cool looking. What are we talking about? Why are we in society not cool about the skull gun?
I have a sense that there's like a central gag surrounding Doom 2016, like of the main character being this massively over the top badass, and I think that gag has run thin. I think that gag has dried up.
Yeah, I just don't think what excited me about Doom the Dark Ages was not what they're doing. I thought they were like, we're going to move away from Mars space adjacent hell stuff, and we're going to put Doom Guy effectively in, the Dark Ages and
Hexen,
make it about
basically
using swords and shields and stuff like that. But this genuinely just looks like a Doom Eternal DLC. Like
it looks like Painkiller is what it looks like.
Yeah. And I want them to do something different, right? And it's like, oh, you've got a parry mechanic. And it's like, our guns can do melee. All guns are melee, you twat. They punch things from range.
What is it with games and parry mechanics?
That is something. There's something in the water.
What's the deal with parrying?
You know what the first time I think I might have ever parried was? Fucking Zelda, when you had to like swat Ganon's like a little energy ball back and forth and kind of rally with him.
Oh, I was thinking of Zelda Wind Waker, where like your sword flashes up and you have to press the parry button.
That's a good one. And you kind of do the little spin around.
Yeah.
I see the parries and I'm just like, yeah, but it's not Bayonetta, is it? There ain't a giant clock that appears and I'm not doing like a backflip. Like
Did this start in one-on-one fighting games? Do you remember that like classic professional Street Fighter tournament moment where the dude parries all of Chun-Li's kicks when he's got like one sliver of health left, and then successfully turns it around and wins the bout, and everyone and the room goes fucking
legendary moment in gaming history.
It also feels a little and it also feels like the Souls games added a little bit of that as well, of how the importance of parrying in 3D action games.
Yeah, and then they doubled down in Sekiro.
Yeah.
Like
made a game about that.
Oh, and if we're talking about the first game with parrying, I want to say it probably came from one-on-one fighters.
Motherfuckers, it's Pong.
Oh. Well, let's not get into a semantic argument over what constitutes
what is
parrying.
a parry.
I wanna address Casey says parry slander is wild in 2025. Not parry slander. We're just talking about how it's ubiquitous now. I don't think we were really judging it. Now they were judging the fucking skull gun, which I find wild because I think that gun is objectively cool, and I don't know what is going on. Now I'm starting to question: am I not cool? Oh my god, I'm having a crisis of faith.
Look at the mirror, dude.
Well, doesn't it make you feel a bit like they're trying a bit too hard?
Doom is try hard. That franchise is try hard.
A gun that grinds up and shoots the skulls of your enemies. It just feels really like Marilyn Manson Edge.
I mean, I think that's what Doom is. People like that soundtrack, and it just is like fucking ass rock to me. But I get that's what the game is. And I shouldn't have said fucking ass rock. Jesus, what is that? But yeah.
All right, moving on. Double Finger gives €5 and says, I'm just annoyed that there's AAA and AA, but no A. Are there no B games? It goes immediately from AA to indie. I suppose there are XXX games, though. Four, am I right?
Like Doom.
Dave Mirror's BMX XXX.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to like really even crack down into indies, there's way more gradients of indies than there are
like I said, Steam has lowered the barrier to entry so much that it doesn't really matter. Categorizing them would be entirely arbitrary. Everything has the same chance of making the same amount of money.
But even like an indie game that's a solo dev, those range from I did a game jam thing over a weekend to, Yahtzee over the course of, what was it, a few years in your spare time you made?
Star Trek Vagabond, yeah.
Star Trek Vagabond I worked on this for 7 years full time, like a Blueprints or something, or Animal Well.
I think anything that's solo developed is sort of automatically indie.
Oh, I agree, but I think there's even gradients of solo dev, right? Like...
Well, quite. I mean, some solo devs like literally do everything themselves.
Yeah.
But I obviously subcontracted in a few places. I hired El Cheshire to do some art. I hired the BPM Bullets per Minute guys to do the soundtrack. Some like indie devs do the whole thing, like Cave Story. He even made the music. That's what blows my mind.
Beep boops.
Eric Barone.
Yeah,
Did everything
him as well. Undertale.
Yeah,
mostly everything.
it's because I don't think solo dev AA exists, because that would be effectively AAA going, hey, one crazy motherfucker, here's 20 million, disappear for a decade.
I'm just gonna take my Adderall. I'm gonna take my Adderall and I'm gonna go to. Imagine coming out a decade later and being like, "This was the popular thing at the time, right?"
That sounds like something you do to someone you want to get rid of. Like you got a really like annoying like auteur dev on the team. You just say, "Hey, here's 20 million. Just come back when you made a game," and then no one ever hears from them again.
I want to do that for a form of witness protection. You get like a mother of 3, and you're just like, we're going to have to give you a new identity. You're a solo dev. Here's 20 million. Go make a game. And they have no idea what to do. Just to see what they come out. I made a roguelite. Oh, God.
Tadarac 1980 gives £5 and says, "For me, AA is where you're more likely to find devs who care about their product. For that reason, it's essential. Rare is the AAA who retains its passion." Well,
you
quite.
Rare as in literally rare the developer, or it is uncommon?
No, it means like it's undercooked.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah,
You're answering my question.
I want to clarify something for a lot of people. Every dev cares about the thing they're making. Like even in AAA, they might have the answer to, but everyone wants to make the best thing they can, right?
But it's when responsibility is so divided that you get the committee design feel.
Of course,
mean, sure, like a person, like everyone individually on AAA team is probably passionate about the thing they're making, but the things they're making are like one line of text, one crate model, one horse plopping sequence.
Yeah,
I mean, by all means, have pride in your horse plops. It certainly was the standout feature in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Horse plop. I will say, I do think
shrinking balls.
I feel like we collectively tend to undersell. There's been a lot of really good AAA games over the last like 7 or 8 years. Like we've gotten Red Dead 2, we've gotten Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, we've gotten Nier, we've gotten Persona, we've gotten Final Fantasy 7, Elden Ring, The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay, so you're saying Japan is producing a lot of really good games.
No, I said The Last of Us Part 2. That's another one.
Oh, okay. Wait, which one? The remaster?
Oh, fuck off.
Oh, that was my worst game of the year, The Last of Us Part 2.
You and Jack are fucking nuts. You and Jack are.
I haven't played the second, so
I just came out of the game feeling really negative, and some people would argue that's the intention. But you know, I don't feel like I benefited from the experience.
I like feeling bad.
Okay, I'm going to try to pronounce this. Karczek Wiprovji gives 25 Polish zlotys, whatever, and says, I'm fine, by the way, just trying to out big brain Ubisoft here. Give me a moment. 17 A's they put there.
That's impressive that you count that. You might be wrong, but I'm not going to check. I'm not going to count those A's.
It's hard because every A looks the same.
Every A does look the same. You kind of got to group them up.
I can clarify there are 17.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness. I counted it in 5s. 3 5s and then 2 more on the end. Makes 17. Dr. Theo gives $5. Says AAA games 10 years ago would probably be considered AA nowadays. Well, yeah, because the tech wasn't as advanced. Duh.
Sure. And like Shenmue was the most expensive game ever made at the time. Expensive game. And that would seem quaint in AAA nowadays.
I mean, the original Oblivion looks like absolute dog shit from a modern perspective.
Don't tell that to the Oblivion.
Did you know when the Oblivion was first starting, they didn't have any level designers?
Okay.
Bethesda still doesn't, do they?
What?
Got him! More quality assurance. Hey, get fucked.
No, that makes sense. I mean, that's how they designed Mario 64. They just had Mario in a room, and they iterated on that for like a year until they were happy with the movement mechanics, and then actually started building the levels.
Yeah, it turns out if your
Fun.
character's fun to move, then you can put them in any random box-shaped bullshit and it'll be fun.
Primary gameplay loop, bitch.
You tell them.
Fox D gives $5 and says, the only thing left that justifies a AAA budget is something where expenses aren't in game dev but in licensing and whatnot. Sports games, basically. Or hiring, like, Hollywood actors. I mean, if you hadn't told me that Andy Serkis and Charlie Cox were in Clair Obscur, I wouldn't have been able to fucking tell. The voices just sound like people with voices.
The main character is Charlie Cox, the Daredevil himself.
Yeah.
Your boy at the beginning. He looks a little more like Robert Pattinson, though. He doesn't look like Charlie Cox. He looks
exactly like Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Like
I remember you telling me there were celebrity actors in it, so I assumed it was Robert Pattinson until I looked it up.
Yeah. You know what game I'm really excited about with celebrity actors? Death Stranding 2 on the beach, coming soon to PlayStation 5. I just finished Death Stranding 1, and let me tell you.
Is Norman Reedus in anything but like Hideo Kojima projects now? I haven't seen him in a film in the longest time.
I think he's in there's a Walking Dead thing where he's wandering around France. I don't know how he got to France, but there's some zombies there.
Let me trump card you with celebrity game. I can't wait for Star Citizen Squadron 42.
Oh Christ, didn't Gary Oldman die? Or who am I thinking? I'm thinking of Alan Rickman. Sorry.
No, he didn't.
Sorry,
but he might before that game comes out.
I get those two confused in my mind. Really good British character actors with dark hair.
Yeah, very good. Tried to kill John McClane at some point.
Yes, very good at playing morose, sarcastic people.
Yeah.
Sadarak 1980 gives £5 and says, we are honestly in a golden age of gaming. So many we need to separate the surfer into tiers of devs making them. Clair Obscur for GOTY, by the way. Well, we didn't really get into our individual opinions on Clair Obscur. I'm doing a review. I am actually quite surprised it has been so universally praised. I noticed the Steam ratings down to very positive from overwhelmingly, so perhaps there's been a bit of a backlash on that. But,
that's because it's French. There's going to be some Brits coming in.
It's French, and it's a French, and most of the playable characters are women. There's the backlash for you.
There we go.
And you get to beat the shit out of mimes, so there's probably like a real big pro mime contingency coming up.
Yeah, and they're very vocal online because it's the only place they can be vocal.
Mime.
I think there's a lot of creativity on display. I think the gameplay has some issues that I will go into when I've fully written them down, I suppose.
I give it a thumb up, and I like the music. I wish I had a mini-map, though. That shit needs a mini-map, and they need to dial back. There's too much business on the screen. They need 10% less business on the screen.
I didn't even think of that, but yeah, fuck yeah. I would love there to be a mini-map, or at least just a map of the individual dungeons that you have to explore.
You say there being too much business on the screen. I just want it to be on the screen. On my monitor, half of the screen is cut off. I can't, when I get into combat, I can't see the third option.
That's because you play in a fucking stupid resolution, isn't it?
It's made in Unreal Engine. I know it's easy to fucking sort things out for this resolution because my game can be played in fucking ultra wide. Get fucked, France.
I mean, you play in like looking through a fucking giant letterbox or something.
It does look like a letterbox.
It's mad.
It is.
Tsunami Dusha gives $20 and says nothing. Good for him or her.
Biggest douche of them all. The douche.
Alex Armstrong gives $2 and says, is Sonic Mania AA made by fans, published by AAA? Oh, that's a tricky one. I mean, I hesitate to say it's indie because, as you say, it's got the rubber stamp from Sonic Team. But, you know...
I think I'd consider Sonic Mania indie. It's just they've been given the license to be able to make it.
Yeah, okay. But it looks so convincingly like a 16-bit era, like Sonic the Hedgehog game.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Do you think Sonic Frontiers is the first quadruple A game? I'll take my answer off stream.
I don't even think it's a game.
It is definitely a game. You can go fishing with froggies.
That's fishing?
Yeah,
that's what makes it a quadruple A game, is it? That there's
you got fishing.
All of that. I just love that Marty said, "What's his name?" Big the cat, like he doesn't fucking dream of him every night. What the?
No, I told him Froggy. But Froggy is the thing Big the cat is looking for. That's his. Yeah. That's his white whale.
Go get that frog.
Call me Ishmael, yo.
I wouldn't have said Big the Cat was a cat if you'd showed me Big the Cat and asked me what his species was.
What would you say he was? Sex
I
pot?
don't know. I would have said he was a Jersey Devil.
Also, I wouldn't. If I look at Sonic, I wouldn't say he was a hedgehog. I'd say he's
that's fair.
Little freak.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, the same is. I guess you could say the same about basically every Sonic character.
Yep.
Apoplex gives $1.99 and says Madison Marty, Ian's, Glass Nickel, or Salvatore's.
Salvatore's 100% of the time. These are three pizza places. Famous.
Is this revenge? Is this revenge for all the Britishisms?
Yeah.
No, this was just a question. Maybe they're visiting Madison, or maybe they live in Madison. They want to know which of the three big pizza places. Salvatore's 100%. It's a New Jersey style pie. Incredible. Great every time. Big fan of Salvatore's.
Madison, Wisconsin.
That's how we said it.
Alex Armstrong gives $2 and says, "Are DLC stroke expansions AA-ish, like Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon?" Oh, God. Well, that wasn't a DLC or an expansion. It was a spin-off.
Sure. But it had the trappings of a AAA game, so I think it was still AAA in the same.
No. It was a AA spin-off because it had a severely reduced budget and all the cutscenes were like 2D images. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I can dig that.
That was around the era when they were making the UbiArts games and stuff like
yes, and there was
All the Light.
Yeah, and there was more of a blurring of the lines between AAA and AA.
Yeah.
Nidorom gives $5 and says, instead of focusing on cost size, should categorization on focus on public companies with shareholders, large private companies like Valve and indies? Well, that's interesting because I was going to bring up one of the definitions of an indie game is any game where the CEO stroke owner of the company actually worked on the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the whole indie double triple A, even though my podcast Devheads is kind of built on that foundation, I think it's dumb. Like, indie should just mean if the game is independent, right? It is not like.
Well, that opens a whole new can of worms because by that definition, Valve is an indie developer.
I know. Larian would be indie, but like, I also don't agree that they should be. It's so blurry.
Well, I guess we should just stop calling it indie, and we should just call it.
We should just stop.
A. We should just call it A. There you go.
Well, Great Circle just came to PS5, and that's an indie game, right?
I'll shut up. Hjorth87 gives 20 Danish kroner and says, "Do AA have pure revision as they have coherent teams?" Yeah, probably.
AA have pure revision because they have coherent teams.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
depends what you mean by coherent teams. Do you mean like everyone's got like a specific role and job title? Because that's the opposite of how Valve does it. Valve has the Cabal system. Nobody has a specific goal.
Valve doesn't have a clear vision whatsoever.
No, Valve has a Valve. Yeah, it's just creating a play area for developers.
Yeah. Is there like a threshold? Like,
oh yeah, who the fuck knows?
That's why I think everything's got to be by your gut. There's only one thing you can trust, and it's your gut.
Well, because only trust yours. Because only trust yours to set off the alarm on an elevator.
I got him, Dundum.
Witticism gives $5. Says, "I think with the rise of AA, the distinction will matter less. I think of the PS2 era where games were just games. We didn't describe them in A's. Yeah, PS2 era was where fucking shovelware tripe could be alongside the latest Killzone game, and no one blinked an eye.
Yeah, you could get.
And I also think. Carry on.
Go ahead. No. All you.
I think it's important to also remember that most gamers don't give a fuck. Like, when they see Clair Obscure, most people don't go, "Oh, I want to buy this because it's from a AA team and I want to support them," like we might do. They go, "Oh, France and mimes, that looks kind of interesting. Oh, it's a turn-based RPG. I'm done. I'm out." You know, like that's most people on Game Pass.
There are millions of us who bought I didn't buy the game. I just downloaded it.
I know. I was one of them. I was playing too.
There are millions of us. Millions.
We are Legion. Also, I don't want to alert everyone. We just hit our goal, which means in our future is a 6-hour Dokapon Kingdom stream.
Oh shit!
Let's go.
The rare double Doke.
Man, only 2 days left in the month. We could have avoided this horror.
Well done, team. Why did the dono bar stretch when the goal got filled? Why is it huge now?
We don't know. You know what? It doesn't have a decimal point 15 places,
No.
so at the very least, we can't complain about that.
Okay.
There's a lot of things wrong with our target bar. Dartsatorus gives 100 Danish kroner and says, with the discussion being around AA, does single A also exist? Where does it go from there? B, triple B, double B, C, budget, bargain bin? And if so, what would be some games in those categories? You know, let's stop worrying about it, because I think this is something that changes from each generation of gaming to the next. I remember when I used to play games on the Commodore 64, you'd have your budget games, which would be in like little cassette tape boxes. And then you'd have your next level up, which would be in little cardboard boxes about double the size. And those would be your £10 games. Ooh, that really broke the birthday money budget.
It was
single cassettes you buy for like £2. You buy fucking Treasure Island Dizzy for £2 on the Codemasters Hit Squad label.
I got I said it in my video. I got Beyond Good and Evil, like on a fucking spinner for a couple quid when I was a kid, like in the same year it came out, and like I had the best experience of my life. I guess this is similar to like game sales, right? I miss those days of just going. I miss going to stores. I miss seeing shelves. Like I miss that shit. Bring back
Blockbuster. I want cassette tapes bought from the shelves of W.H. Smith.
See?
Oh my god.
Maybe
I worked
we just
in a
miss
WH
being
Smith.
young and not having
responsibilities
in life.
Yeah, let's just do that. Let's just all be 12 years old again.
Sounds great. Big though.
I fondly remember every day walking home from college, I would go into Blockbuster just to browse. Like I wouldn't even like get anything every time. I would just go and look and see what new games were out.
Yes, and just dream like the little orphan pressing their face against the sweet shop glass.
Yeah.
Spider William 13 gives $5. Says, I associate AA with the bargain bin. Smaller, unadvertised 7th gen games discovered by random chance that could be fun or shovelware BS, usually for the Wii.
I do like. Yeah. There was I felt like there was a certain charm to shovelware in the past that has been kind of lost now that Steam is just 99% shovelware. Yeah, but it's just rose-tinted glasses.
Sometimes, like, the shovelware would be so they'd somehow manage to talk their way up onto a game shelf. Yeah, and they'd become like amusing curiosities.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't really happen anymore because and there's no curation anymore.
No, very difficult. You need to go to specific people for recos.
Yeah. Fungus Finder gives $2. Says, why the hell do you people keep talking about batteries? LOL.
Oh yes.
Fungus
Finder.
Yes. Oh, lol. Let me tell you about my new 9-volt game that I'm working on.
Oh my god.
I'd play.
Do you have the budget for that?
Yeah. 9-volt is 9-volt is like you have to spend like at least $8 trillion on it.
With this character from Mario? Yeah.
That character is called 9-volt in reference to the battery.
Shout to WarioWare.
Darwin's Dummy, member for 17 months in the Green Gang, says single A is just a game. All games are single A. How poetic, Darwin's Dummy.
I think that was beautiful.
Apoplect gives $1.99 and says, you sure an anonymous alcoholic made this game?
Oh, that's another AA joke. We got a lot of double A. Do we have any more? American Airlines, that was AA.
The British Automobile Association, is just called the AA.
Aardvark, that starts with 2 A's.
Yes.
Aardvark is a AA?
Yeah, it's the first word in the dictionary. Look it up. Don't look it up because it might not be the first one.
No, the first word in the dictionary is A, the indefinite article.
Fuck.
Very fitting.
Yeah.
Yes. Where were we? Vactor gives $2 and says, Manor Lords was indie, now AA. Google AA VV Yoza.
No.
What are you on about, Vactor?
What was VV Yoza?
I don't know. I think it's possible they were having a stroke.
Can a single game? What franchises have moved from indie to AA? Has any franchise? I mean, I guess you mentioned Prince of Persia. That's like
Well, that went up and
That's
down.
triple to double. I said it earlier. What moved from indie to double?
Well, the original Prince of Persia was made by basically one guy, Jordan Mechner.
Sure. Yeah. And I guess like Witcher and Grand Theft Auto feel like series that like
the original GTA was very low key.
Rockstar are their own beast. Like I view Rockstar the same way I view Valve. Like they do not adhere to the same rules as the rest of the industry. They just disappear and then come out with a thing and break records and then disappear again. I love it.
And Jake Take No Break with a good point. Minecraft was the thing that started as a dude and then is now a AAA company. Like Mojang is a AAA studio at Microsoft.
One of the biggest games ever released. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But again, that's just comes down to the money it made.
Success.
Geldon Yetic gives $5 and says, refining existing game mechanics is easier than inventing something new, but burning out on one makes coming back a hard sell. Thank God for indies.
I hear that.
Yes, I say that every day when I wake up in the morning. Hjorth87 gives 50 Danish kroner. Says, got my hands on some weird AA-ish games when I worked in Germany back in 2008. For example, Earth 2150. Also picked up Jagged Alliance 2 in a bargain bin.
Ooh, Jagged Alliance 2. That is a good shout on a AA game.
Very strong modding community, the Jagged Alliance games.
Really?
Yeah. The people who like Jagged Alliance have the people who really like it basically play no other game.
That's a life I couldn't imagine.
There's just something about Jagged Alliance.
Yeah.
Shantanu Sean Bartier gives £199 and says, are there any AA Nintendo first-party games? Mario Golf?
I would say there's certain... Again, I don't know if by the legal definitions, but when I see something like Princess Peach Showtime, like some of those...
Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker?
Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, yeah.
Well, it used to be like this was just like what they'd put out on their handhelds. They'd have the stuff they'd put out on the Wii and the stuff they'd put out on DS.
Yeah. Even like, Wii Music, WarioWare, these kind of things feel... smaller compared to a Fire Emblem or a Zelda or a Mario or anything.
I was watching... There's a YouTube channel called I Finished a Video Game who do like these 7-hour retrospectives. I was watching their one on Castlevania the other night. Did you know there was a Castlevania one-on-one fighting game for the Wii and it was fucking terrible?
Oh yeah, Judgment. I think it was called Castlevania Judgment, right? Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I would have played the shit out of that.
The thing was, it was designed for motion controls only. Which, as you might imagine, sucks me
Switch
to bum.
to port. Let me play with a mouse.
Well, you could play it with the GameCube controller, apparently, and basically that made the game work. But none of the characters looked like how we remember them looking, because they had them all redesigned by some famous manga artist.
Fuck off.
So, it didn't feel like Alucard and Soma together at last.
Yeah. Did you manage to get a Switch 2 pre-order, Yahtzee?
I'm relying on you two to send me one.
I have volunteered to send the one. I think you and I are the only ones who got it, Jay.
Oh, really?
And I'm still not 100% sure mine's real because I haven't got an email about it.
I keep checking the website where I got it to wait for them to be like, jokes, mate, jokes.
That being said, I'm still trying to get another one. I'm going to try to get as many as I can.
I'm arguing that the smart business decision would be to send one to me so I can do it fully emblematic.
I got one from the place that got one, but I'm also expecting an email from Nintendo to be like, here's another. So if I get that, I'll sling that your way.
I mean, I'm willing to send it back once the first few big games are reviewed.
Yeah, it's gonna have your chocolate fingers all over them.
Huh?
Well,
it'll be pre-fucking dipped.
My chocolates are tasty.
Yeah, but I don't want fucking ganache caked all over my Joy-Con too. Good as your chocolate pie looks. Let me tell you, your chocolate pie looks good.
It turned out very well as well. Chocolate mousse on an Oreo cookie crust. I was looking at recipes for chocolate mousse, and like most of them are like, "Hey, this is how to make it perfect. You use egg yolks and egg whites and such and gelatin and blah de blah." And I said, "Okay, let's find the simplest possible chocolate mousse recipe, and maybe like extrapolate from that." So I found one that was basically just whipped cream and melted chocolate, and I used that. And it's perfect. It's fine. You don't need anything else.
There you go.
It's you whip up the cream, you fold in the chocolate. It's fluffy. It's rich. It's delicious.
It looks good.
Eric created a panning shot of your pie, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Ooh, how erotic!
It's live as well. Pan up, Eric. Pan. Oh my fuck.
Yeah,
pan
I've
up.
been I've been practicing my piping.
Dude, look at the chunks of chocolate. That looks great.
It's like a highlight of my Monday.
A guess the game for Yahtzee's treats that he makes of like a zoomed in picture and be like, "Ooh, that's what's going on there? Oh, that's a little breakfast tart."
I'll wake up on Mondays and like sometimes I'll open the Slack, see what's going on, and I see that in general chat, and I just sit there going, "Ooh, ooh,
yeah.
ooh,
yeah.
ooh." I'm making my kids' school having a bake sale. I'm going to make my famous coconut macaroons.
All those other parents are about to get fucking dunked on.
I know. Macaroons I've got pretty much down.
Smash it, dude.
I lost the place again. I got distracted by thoughts of chocolate pie that I'm probably going to have some of for my lunch.
Member for 5 months, the value tier, retracted message. Now,
No, Brad, I have it.
Wait, what?
Brad, member for I copy and paste mine always. I'll do 3 non-blonde, sure yachts, wouldn't we all? But the question was about karaoke. That was a little 3 non-blondes joke.
Okay.
Yahtzee's happily married. How dare you?
Red R gives $2 and says, "My wife and I signed up for the Phoenix tier." Did
Yay!
both of you?
Thanks, Rhett.
Fuck
Good.
yeah.
Glad.
You signed up for the top tier. You signed up for the top tier thing, and Yachts is like, did both of you sign up for our $50 tier?
No, listen to us. Don't listen to Yachts. Enjoy. You could check the backlog of our monthly Patreon movie hangs, and we should have another one coming up in a few weeks for May. Yes. Our last one was Master of the Flying Guillotine. A lot of fun.
I appreciate you very much. I appreciate you very much, Red R, even though you misspelled both Phoenix and tier. And the last one is quite staggering considering it's only a 4-letter word.
Yahtzee, sometimes I think you're a real C word. I'm not going to say it. I think you are.
Well,
don't write it down. You might spell it wrong. Yachts will fucking come for you, dude.
Dundum.
It's true. I am a curmudgeon. Confused Matthew gives $5 and says, "It's hard for me to think of Supergiant as an indie studio in a philosophical sense, with Hades being one of the biggest games in the world." True, I guess.
Yeah, the Supergiant aren't indie. I say they're at least double, if not moving into triple. Like,
this is it. This is weird. I don't know.
I wouldn't say AAA. I mean, they still have to kickstart all the games.
What? No, they don't.
Fox.
No, they don't.
They haven't kickstarted one of their games.
All right, they still have to early access all their games, which is the same sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's free QA.
Fox D gives $5 and says, "Bethesda made the 2006 Game of the Year 6 times. Oblivion, Fallout 3, Skyrim, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Starfield. So it came full circle and they remade the 2006 Game of the Year."
Beautiful. See? It's like poetry.
Okay.
It rhymes.
There you go. Fungus Finder gives $2 and says, "Missed the start. Is anus level just equal to budget?" I think that's what we eventually concluded, or at least how much money it needs to make its money back.
Yeah. Or
Extended Club Mix gives $4.99 and says, "Money for Marty for calling out that fucking trash Doom soundtrack."
Motherfucker, you skipped a big dono. Big
Where?
one.
The People's Princess,
Diane
Spencer.
Diane Spencer gave 50 British fucking pounds and said, "I am now officially unemployed."
Jobs are useless. Jobs are useless.
I'm
That's
dyslexic
weird.
as fuck and read that as employed, and I was about to celebrate, but when I started reading it, I realized it was unemployed.
Yeah,
so
I was like, why are you
yay?
so excited going into this? I was like, they lost their job.
That's weird. That super chat doesn't come up for me. I mean, I got the big purple indicator at the top, say, with Diane Spencer on it, but I don't see her actual super chat.
Oh.
We appreciate you, Diane. That's like a Phoenix tier. You just gave us like a fatty Phoenix tier in a dono. Kakar.
Well, yes, thank you very much, Diane.
If you wanted to be unemployed, congrats. If you didn't, fuck. Thanks.
Grass is always greener.
Hey, you know what game's got a really good soundtrack? BPM Bullets per Minute.
Wow, they should do some other games.
Yeah,
I know.
It would be really cool if they did.
Rue gives $1.99 and says, "Just want to thank Marty for wrecking the pit."
Oh, fuck, yeah. Open up the pit. Best show of the year is The Pit. Well, Andor's back, so Andor's probably the best show of the year. But The Pit,
What's
incredible
the-
medical
what's the
drama,
Pit?
all unfolds over the single day at a hospital in Pittsburgh. It's pretty much ER, but they can't call it ER because there's some litigation going on with the Crichton estate.
Fucking
But it's the most
Crichton.
realistic depiction of a hospital I've ever seen, and it's amazing. I would die for Noah Wiley.
Why did they call it the Pittsburgh?
Has Michael Crichton been cancelled for anything? Is he a sex
Oh, he's
pest?
dead.
Is he an
He's
asshole?
dead. He's dead.
Okay, he's just dead. Fine.
He got canceled for
Fine.
making The Sphere from the titular book, The Sphere.
Michael Crichton's books annoy me.
What about JP?
Because
Jurassic Park?
you can tell Michael Crichton puts the research in because he can't wait to let you know. Like he'll write a scene where it's like character A says, "You mentioned string theory back there, character B, and I was just wondering what is string B?" And it's like fucking Anakin asking about the midichlorians in the Phantom Menace.
I think he
And
was like
character
a
B-
scientist before he was a writer, so it kind of makes sense.
It fucking comes across, and then character B like pulls down a fucking screen and gabs off for 3 chapters.
It's like the scientific version of Tolkien writing about fucking hills. It's like, we don't need 2 pages of this, dude.
I've got some good hill talk for you. And Tolkien's like, God damn it, dude. I understand. I get it.
It's a fucking
Alex
hill, dude.
Armstrong. Alex Armstrong gives $5 and says one AA spin-off that I liked that isn't Blood Dragon would be that vampire DLC from Infamous 2. It's more Infamous 2, but lots of consequence-free killing.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Speaking of
what...
vampire DLC,
Yeah, look at that.
All
I don't
right.
know what to call those things, but I do miss when a big game would get kind of a weird genre offshoot, be it Undead Nightmare for
Like,
Red Dead or this.
Or Blood Dragon, or actually half what we're talking about are zombie games like Yakuza Dead Souls.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just
Yes.
everything just has a zombie version.
I guess, yeah.
Alex Armstrong gives $5 and says, I know you hate fanfics, Yahtzee, but if I were to write one of Starstruck Vagabond, do you recommend witty writing in the first draft or wait till edits? Well, if I don't know. If in my experience, if you go back and insert jokes, it will read like someone went back and inserted jokes.
yeah. Are you going to set it up and then have payoff if you haven't set them up?
Right. There's a lot of what was that game? That game I really hate. Well, I forget its title. No, it was that game that was. Oh, never mind. It was a game that felt like they'd just gone through the dialogue and tried to insert a sarcastic joke into every single fucking line, and it was fucking awful. No, it was
Immortals of Avium?
No, it was an old game. Never mind. Alex Armstrong. No, done that one. Lord Robertus III gives €2 and says, "Here's €2 to get to the Dokapon stream." Yeah, it's a
Thank you
thing.
for all
It's
your support.
happening, and you have no one to blame but yourselves.
Oh, dang.
Lord Robertus, are you still the best Once Upon a Galaxy player in the world?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that after our stream, Lord Robertus.
Sacred 3.
Ash Ketchum.
Sacred 3. That was the game I was thinking of.
Sacred.
It wasn't
I don't know
Last of
what
Us
that
Part 2.
is. It wasn't.
Sacred 3.
That's a bad name for a game.
It was a pretty bad game. Although, pretty good game title for a game that was like the third Sacred game, which is what it was.
Keeping it nice and simple.
Lord of the Rings fan 193 gives $499 and says hi and bye. Not quite a tsunami doucher, but close enough.
But I love it. Thank you, Loader fan.
Fox D gives $14.15 of all sums and says, covering the difference between the current total and the goal. Will the pod break this time too? Probably.
Ooh.
Turns
The
out.
bar broke. Appreciate you pushing us over.
Kite gives 5,000 CLPs, whatever the fuck they are, and says many negative reviews for E33 focus on the QTEs. Many people that enjoy turn-based don't want action inputs. IMO, Infinite Wealth, and Mario and Luigi games struck a better balance. Yeah, if you like just tank all the hits in Expedition 33, you are fucked. They'll basically just one-shot a lot of your character a lot of the times.
Yeah. The timings are tight as well, like on the parries and stuff. It's great.
You
They
just
feel good when you
gotta-
get them, though. They feel good.
You just
Oh,
gotta
yeah,
watch for the
that's why.
signal. Sometimes it's an audible signal, sometimes it's a visual signal. Like if there's a ball of energy, you want to press dodge right as the ball of energy suddenly shrinks, I find.
Okay.
And if someone's like holding up a weapon about to swing it, wait till you see the wrist like go. Because all those motherfuckers faint. All those motherfuckers like wait way too long before they do the swing. But if you just wait for the twitch of the wrist, that's how you know it's going to actually be the swing.
Yeah, it's almost like the enemies know you're in a turn-based system, because if you were faint in front of me, I'd just stab you in the face.
I know, right?
But it's not your turn.
Fuck!
ASDFGHJKL176516 gives €6 and says, I can't define AA, it's a grey zone. Expedition 33 had a huge dev cost, right? Where is the line where it becomes into your AAA? Is it defined by dev cost? Yes, that's what we said.
Yeah.
I mean,
we don't know what the dev cost. Like, Expedition looks AAA, but if it was only 30 core members of a team, granted, also with maybe double that when you get contractors and folks who came in for specific roles.
And we're getting to the point now with engines where games can start to look way higher budget than they actually are, right?
Sure.
Like with things like Unreal Engine and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you can just like rent all your assets off the Unity store, or like download some free textures and touch them up a bit in Photoshop.
You know.
BS Marsh gives $2 and says Doka Pon, Doka Pon, Doka Pon.
Doke, double doke.
And then Tsunami Dusha finds his voice to give $5 and says, is the larger issue the depreciation of a game's value by labeling them by team size and money spent rather than self-experience and word of mouth?
I mean, that's also a good point. And like a Clair Obscur, it's not full price, right? It's like a $45, $50 game.
Hang on.
I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
It's crazy
would mean
we live in this age where that's not considered full price.
No. Listen, there's only one AAA game, and it's Mario Kart. It's the only AAA game that exists.
Also, what's up with the pricing of that? Because I've got a physical version of that for like $70.
It should be 80. I believe both physical and digital are going to be $79.99.
Interesting.
Maybe you found like a little deal.
Maybe I'm just dumb
sale.
and it said $79.99 and I just saw a 7 and was like, what?
That's how they get. Yeah, that's the whole reason they do the $9.99 thing.
I know.
Even in Australia, where they don't have like single cent coins, they still do the $9.99 thing.
That's insane.
How do they give you change?
They don't. They just round it up.
That's just a lie. That's just a clear lie.
Yeah.
Buying anything in America is a lie because you don't factor in tax in the product.
Yes, it's dumb. The Brain Sturgeon gives €2 and says RAA games from Canada called A Games, etc. Lol.
A+. I think that was beautiful.
That is my favorite one, yeah. Alex
Armstrong gives $2 and says AA are my initials, and I'm in a strange state. Yay!
Yeah!
Woohoo!
Hey.
What state's that? Minnesota.
What do you think is the strangest state?
Maryland.
I can't believe you pronounced it Maryland. That's really funny.
Maryland.
Maryland.
I would say Idaho. Idaho, because it looks like a bit like an axe or like a golf club.
And I'm the pimp.
Only a handful of people are going to get that, and they're going to be bowling.
Mm-hmm.
Estefan Costa gives $10 and says, if the heavily botted marketing pushes are to be believed, some AA games are actually plucky upstart indie studios fighting the big dogs with a company full of ex-Ubisoft. Yuck, marketing turns me off.
I mean, I don't think the marketing in Expedition 33 has been disingenuous or anything. Like, they showed off a game that is the game. Like, the game, it's not like they pulled the rug out from under us, and it is 30 core people there. So, I don't know. I didn't mind the marketing of it.
I didn't see any marketing for it. I didn't even know about the fucking game until we got the review code.
Yeah, they showed it off at a couple of conferences, but you don't really watch the conferences. And if we brought them up, it was like, I forgot what the name of this game was, but it looks pretty neat.
Well, I was watching something this morning, and it was like maybe the success of the Oblivion remaster has actually helped Expedition 33 because, one, it's drawing more people to Game Pass, which means they're going to see the advertisements for 33 more, but also it's been a whole, oh god, shouldn't we feel sorry for this AA team who've just been kind of snubbed by Bethesda and Xbox, so people are like, let's go look.
Yeah.
So it may have helped.
Charles Coates gives $5. It says, thanks for such a great podcast. Well, we haven't quite finished it yet. We might say something that really turns you off.
Oh, don't do that.
Like a dive bomb.
Nice.
We might start getting really racist against French people.
No, we.
Snake in the Garden gives €2. It says, are the ingredients for yachts now tax deductible? I've said before, I want to have at least one hobby I don't monetize.
Can't make this a thing. We could show it off because you're proud of it, but we can't make it a thing. We got to give you one hobby that isn't monetized. Although you said you were literally selling them at your kid's bake sale, which worries me.
I'm not the one selling them. I'm donating them to the people who are going to be selling snacks at the bake sale.
Okay. And I'm assuming it's for a good cause.
Yeah, it's to keep the school going. Right? Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. It's like a parent-funded school. Carlucius gives €5. Says, Yahtzee, try getting into sourdough bread baking. A whole new universe of doing everything from bread to cakes, and way more healthy. Thank you all. I have thus far resisted the urge to get into sourdough making. I hear it's a much more involved process.
It's turbulent.
Sourdough is healthier?
I didn't know it was healthier.
Yeah.
I put whole wheat flour in me bread.
I also never thought of sourdough cakes. I like sourdough bread, but that's the only sourdough I know.
I know of cake recipes that incorporate sour cream.
Sure.
Probably not the same thing.
No.
Rhett R gives $2 and says, that's why Marty's our favourite.
For any reason, honestly.
Yeah, basically.
My camera is so green. Everything fucked up. My computer restarted and I can't get my camera to look like it used to. Now I look like a fucking
I'm red-green colorblind, but now you say it. Yeah, it's fucking green, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm next to you two white boys. I'm all greening out over here.
You look like Fungus the Bogeyman.
Oh, you done him.
Fox D gives $5 and says, if Nathaniel Hawthorne could waste 100 pages writing about whaling obscura, Crichton's allowed to go on for 50 about dinosaur DNA. Who says, Fox D? I'm entitled to throw both books into the fireplace.
Right into the bin.
Oh my God.
Under such conditions. I mean, I don't give classic literature a pass. I've read Jules Verne, I've read H.G. Wells, and I prefer H.G. Wells because Jules Verne will go on a tangent for 200 pages describing how diving suits work. But H.G. Wells, he never let that get in the way of the storytelling. He was like, I built a time machine. I know how it works. Let's just explore that concept.
Yeah. The time machine is the fun. It's not how the time machine works.
I mean, he was the first to come out publicly when he wrote The Invisible Man. He came out and said, I know this wouldn't bloody work because the human retina wouldn't work if it was invisible. But, let's just consider the fun story that we could make out of it.
Yeah.
Also, Eric color corrected my camera, and now it looks like I'm choking to death.
Yeah, you look like you're having an allergic reaction. You should check the room for some dogs, dude.
I've thought about how you'd get around the invisible retinas problem. I was thinking, what if you could before you made the person invisible, you gave them cybernetic eyes that had some kind of system that didn't rely on absorbing light to translate the light data to visual data. So you had a transparent digital technology that converted the light passing through it into digital data that some kind of brain chip could interpret.
Is the theory that the invisible eyes couldn't work because they could not absorb light?
Well, it's not a theory. That's just how it would work. That's how retinas work. They absorb light. Yeah,
but I say theory because people can't go invisible, you twat. So that's why that's what I'm saying. In theory, if this was a thing, that's why, because it couldn't absorb the light. Yes. Because that's how the invisibility works. Okay, that makes sense. And you're saying a cybernetic enhancement that would be able to do that retroactively, but also make itself invisible.
Yeah. I was thinking, would it be possible to create a technology that instead of needing to absorb the light, would just analyze the light passing through it and convert that to digital data?
Okay. God. I just like the idea of a pair of floating robo eyes.
Yeah.
It's running around. That's
you realize you're just Crichtoning right now. You're going
No,
full
I'm not.
Crichton.
I
You said
No.
you'd never go full Crichton.
I
We're
ain't writing
cracking
a
a
fucking.
HD Wells.
I ain't writing a fucking book right now.
He's rolling over in his grave right now.
Oh, I was writing a story about someone who had the power to turn themselves invisible just with magic. So I said, like, they just like magically turn their entire body invisible except for one of their retinas, and they just hoped nobody would notice the little tiny thing floating around the room.
Oh, that's terrifying.
If you just saw a little eyeball floating around the room?
Well, it's just the retina
Just
that
the part,
that needs to be visible.
Yeah.
So you might reasonably not notice if it was just like floating in the middle of the room.
I would say you could just put your hand in front of it, but then I realized your hand was invisible, so you just see through the invisible hand.
Yeah, that foils that plan.
Yeah.
Oh, a couple more super chats come in. Estefan Costa gives $5. Says Gravity's Rainbow refutes the idea that excessive digression is good writing. Cheers. Here's $5 more to the Long Live Second Wind Fund. Thank you very much. Estefan Costa.
Gravity's
then
Rainbow
back to
is a big beefer. Big beefer of a book I can never finish. Also, you missed Beneath's beforehand.
Shit. Beneath gives 50 Swedish kroner and says, for the honour of Toffee and Ludo, which one would you suplex the other? And Marty, what snacks would you eat while watching? Toffee hates other dogs. He would definitely be willing to suplex another dog if he saw one.
Yeah, they'd have to be capable.
There's one particular dog that is Toffee's arch nemesis, and he just goes berserk every time he sees him. Bark, 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 bark. Even from a distance. Other dogs, like, he won't start barking until they get close, but this specific dog he hates. And I got into a conversation with the owner once on an occasion when I was walking past and the dogs were not around. And he admitted that his dog actually gets that a lot because his dog isn't fixed.
Yeah.
And apparently,
They have not been spayed.
other dogs can react very poorly to the smell of unfixed dogs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had the same. I didn't have Ludo spayed until recently, and I've had that encounter. She also, like, there's a lot of dogs in the apartment complex, but we very rarely see them. But we saw one yesterday, which was like a miniature version of Ludo. It was like this big. And it went ape shit when it saw Ludo, like absolutely ape shit. But Ludo just glanced at it, like, oh, I'm more mature, I'm older, and just like pranced off. And I was like, yeah, go. You get him.
Chips and salsa.
Yeah. What? Sorry, I zoned out for a second. Why did you say that?
Because the super chat was asking about the dogs and then said, and Marty, which snacks would you eat while watching?
Oh,
that broke my brain, dude. That broke me.
Vactor gives $5. Says sourdough, like having a pet that you cook on the reg. Do recommend it if you like baking. Oh, okay. And
Isn't
then
that kind of
Sergeant
like
Hurd
the mother loaf? You have to keep the mother loaf.
The mother loaf.
The mother loaf.
Yeah.
Looks like we've hit the mother loaf, ladies and gentlemen. Sergeant Hurd gives £5 and says, I played 1 hour of Expedition 33 on Game Pass and was so drawn in, I bought the game to support the devs. First JRPG that's clicked for me just for the narrative.
Japaji. That's good to hear.
Beautiful.
And then Stacy89 gives $5 and says, okay, hold on. A floating retina would have no focused light on it. You need the full system of your pupil and lens to image light to the retina. Oh, shit.
Fuck. Add another paragraph to that explanation.
Well, the lens is transparent, isn't it?
You talking about eyes? I don't know shit about eyes. What?
Fuck it. Well, I assume...
As we discussed, I've broken eyes.
Well, I assume every part of the eye is necessary in some way, otherwise it wouldn't be there, right?
Maybe we have like a vestigial parts of our eyes that don't matter anymore.
Mm.
All right, Moot, let's call this a podcast. Thanks, everyone, for talking to us about AA games and how invisibility wouldn't work. I was Yahtzee Crowshaw. I was joined by Jay and Marty as always. We're part of a wonderful collective called Second Wind that runs this channel and makes a fuckload of content for you to enjoy every week. This week, for example, after this podcast, what's on today?
Oh, today, later in the afternoon, we'll have Hidden Gems at the normal time, 6 p.m. Central. They're going to be playing the smash hit 2005 video game from RIP Monolith, Condemned: Criminal Origins.
Oh, what? Man. That's going back a bit.
Yeah, let's do some throwbacks.
I liked Condemned. Condemned 2 was a bit of a flop, but I liked Condemned.
Agreed.
Yes, I got my fully Ramblomatic on Wednesday, which will be... you might be expecting some of the recent AAA game, but I'm still catching up, as is my want. So I'll be reviewing Old Skies, the point-and-click adventure by Wajitai Games, the developers of Unavowed.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
You have a history of reviewing their games, right?
Yeah, I did Unavowed way back in the day. It's like for old time's sake, because we both came out of the old adventure game studio community from way back in the day.
Nice.
Yeah.
In fact, Wajitai Games pretty much the only developer still making commercial games in adventure game studio, single-handedly keeping it alive as a commercial platform.
Yeah.
I dig that.
I've also got my Wednesday stream, Yahtzee Tries, where I play new indie games, and I have a semi-ram dropping this week, I believe. Yes, because I didn't last week. And this one will be on the subject of roguelikes. Yes, I remembered.
Roguelikes. That's right. You weren't here for our roguelike conversation on the pod, so you're able to weigh in there.
I thought I'd chip in. What else have we got coming up this week?
Hidden Gems tonight. Tomorrow we'll have the Rewind at noon Central Normal Time. We'll be chatting about Sinners, the hot new film Sinners, as well as the hot new film Until Dawn, which I heard it's pretty bad, so I'm excited for that.
I thought that was already a film.
Waka waka. And then normal streams. Nick will be back with Jenna tomorrow at 3 p.m. doing a little streamy stream. Like you said, Yahtzee Tries. We'll be doing some more Thursday night or Wednesday night streams. Jack thinks that they're going to finish Lords of the Fallen this week? Question mark. But we'll see. Yeah.
Well, let's not commit ourselves.
We would never. What about you, Jay? What do you got going on in your little?
Oh, I've got like a working week, so I've got nothing else this week apart from, I don't know, if I'll be on some little spotty streams every now and then. But next Monday, you'll be getting a new Design Delve and a Dev Heads the following Friday. So yeah, a little bit light on J content unless I'm asked to be on other stuff. So
you'd better be on Yahtzee Tries this week, because I'm going to be playing that game whose developer you interviewed the other day.
Skin Deep.
Oh shit. Oh yeah, Skin Deep. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we just had a Dev Heads with Brennan Chung from Skin Deep, a very high pedigree indie legend who's making an indie immersive sim. So we just had a Dev Heads with them.
What else has Brendan Chung done? Because
30 Flights 11 and Quadrilateral Cowboy.
Oh, that's right. I remember reviewing Quadrilateral Cowboy back in the day. All right. Yeah. Well, that'll be it from us for right now. See you all. I'll see you all on Wednesday, and the rest of us will see you all when we see you all. Bye bye. Thanks for all the money.
Bye.
A lot of all of you. Thanks for funding Dokapon. Bye everyone.
Cheerio. Toodly bye.